Hey everyone, I'm Tirza. Welcome back. And I have with me the lovely Els Pontin. I hope I said that correctly.
You did. That's
Okay.
perfect.
She is speaking with me all the way from the UK. And I just love her heart. And she's a creative coach and really helps people not only with the business side of things, but helping people really find what they're passionate about and taking the next steps to get there, and really working through that fear and that uncertainty that comes with starting something new. So Els, can you tell us just a little bit about yourself,
Yeah,
kind of
no
where you
worries.
started and your journey to where you are now?
Yeah, of course. That was a lovely introduction. Thank you. I should probably get you to introduce me more often. That's a really good description. So yeah, hi, I'm Els, and I'm really honoured to be speaking to you. I'm very excited for everything that's coming for you for your Golden Pine Creative. So like you said, I'm a creative business coach. I come from a very kind of conventional and corporate background. I would guess it's probably the best way of describing. Um, I went to boarding school over here in the UK. I was a musician throughout that. And that was a very challenging period of my life. It was very much kind of follow what was expected of me. I then went to university, and I studied kind of theology and religious studies. And I think everybody assumed I was either going to become a vicar or a teacher, and I didn't become either. At university, I discovered a real love of people and culture, and so I spent a lot of time working in retail and specifically hospitality, everything from kind of crowd management to shops, really, from tiny little family-run boutiques to big corporations. And so over the last 15 years, I've worked my way up through various companies and had what I think a lot of people would say is a very successful career. And then about 6 years ago now, I had a really challenging experience in one of my, in the job that I was in. And it was a company that when I first started with them, I really resonated with their purpose. They were very people oriented. They were, the profit would come through the way that they treated their people and their customers. And then there was a change of leadership in that company, and it started to become a company I didn't really want to associate with and didn't really believe in anymore. And at that point, I was headhunted for a global technology company who I couldn't believe would be interested in working with me. I am not technologically able. Even connecting with this call today, we're like, oh, there's no video. Okay, let's try that again. Oh, let's try a different computer because it's still not working. So it's a standing joke that I've ended up working for a technology company when I'm not that technologically able. But that company have completely changed my life. And the people I've met and the opportunities I've had enabled me not only to kind of find who I am and what I stand for again in a job, which I never thought I would ever be able to say. I always assumed it would be through everything I did outside of work that I would find that, but also enabled me to train as a professional coach. So I took my coaching certification about 2 years ago now, and decided that, bizarrely, that the words, the sort of title of what I do kind of came to me rather than me come up with them. And I just felt very strongly that I was a creative coach working with businesses and entrepreneurs. And that's never left me, along with all the challenges of finding my niche and all that stuff that you're supposed to do as a coach. That the title of what I did and who I am has stuck. So now I still work full time. I love what I do at the company I'm with, and I'm not leaving them yet. I'm getting married this year, and then we'll see. But at the same time as working, I also run a pretty successful coaching business. And I work with women, predominantly women entrepreneurs all over the world, to, like you say, help them build businesses, but my vision is always around them taking really purposeful action and then building brilliantly balanced businesses. So that's balanced physically and spiritually, and yes, making money and enjoying the abundance, but not working an 80-hour week and burnout. So I've worked with a lot of women that need that level of balance but still want to be successful. So, yes.
Yeah, we say that we want all these things, and then I think it's hard to manage time when you're an entrepreneur at the beginning. Absolutely. And you're like, I have to do all these things and they must get done today, and trying to manage that and being like, no, they don't have to all get done today, and you can have a real life. Like
you can have a life as well as run a business.
Right. So I think there's definitely struggle in that balance, especially in the beginning. So that's really cool. Can you tell me a time that you kind of lost your vision, or kind of was like, what am I doing? Where am I supposed to be going? Kind of a low point.
Yeah. I think a real low point for me was when I realized in many ways I had the job and the career that people would aspire to. And, I was doing really well, I was earning well. But what that meant was I was working a 60-hour week. I was commuting 100 miles a day. There were times in my previous job when I was out on the road all day, every day. I was, permanently in traffic or stuck behind a tractor somewhere because we live quite rurally. I was rushing to conference calls. I was not eating well. I was earning, a good wage, but I was never able to get to things with my family. I would watch them drive out of the driveway on a summer's day and, wave me goodbye and say, right, well, we'll see you this evening then. I'd be up at 5 a.m, scrubbing ice off the car to get to work. And then I think what happened when my parents retired, and I watched them spending like their entire working life working for someone else. And I just started thinking, this can't be the definition of success for me. Like, this can't be how I choose to spend the rest of my days. I want to be doing something that gives me freedom and gives me autonomy to choose. And I just remember feeling very low because at the time I didn't have a way out. There was no escape route. It was, I couldn't afford to just give up my job. So that was a really low moment. And it was then I started thinking, well, eventually I want to work for myself. And I know I want to help people. I want to have an impact that's global, even if that's just a small impact. And I want people to find their own path as well. So yeah, it was a really low time. And I openly talk about a period of depression, that I was very lucky. I found some great support and I got through, but it was like the world was very much black and white. I didn't see color for a while, which is probably why now I'm constantly surrounded by color. I've got a vase of flowers by me. So that's always a constant reminder of where I've come from.
Yeah, that's great. I think, that feeling of being stuck somewhere you don't belong. I think I've definitely been there, and it's not a fun place to be because you kind of wrestle in your mind, like, I don't want to be here, but I know I can't. Like right now, I feel stuck, and so that's a really hard place to be.
It's partly society as well. We were talking before we came on the call around kind of expectations and status, and having a home, and being that perfect fiance and mother and woman, and and men get this too. They have those societal expectations, but it's very easy to get sucked into that and then either not question it or question it and figure that there's no way out of it, so you just have to live with it.
Right. Yeah, this acceptance after a while that I guess it's the way it is. And there's a comfortable in that and safety in that, whereas reaching out and doing maybe more of what your gifts are is, you know, it's so much more personal. And so, you know, you feel like if you were rejected in any way, it's like a rejection against you.
Yeah.
And so it's really hard to get past that, those beginning stages of rejection, because everyone experiences it.
Yeah. I can really wholeheartedly resonate with you on that. For the very first time, especially when you start to run a creative business, you can't hide anymore. Like you can't say, especially actually, even if you have products as well, not just services, you know, this is you that you're putting out into the world. And that for me was very challenging when I started, and it still is. There's still some days where, because I'm naturally an introvert, I definitely recharge by myself, and I need time to myself. I love my other half very much, but I still need that space, and if I don't get it, I get quite kind of claustrophobic. But as a creative entrepreneur, it's hugely challenging to be brave enough to put yourself out there, and any rejection or criticism is so personal, so that confidence has to grow. You need that tribe of people around you as well that really get that and can support you through that.
Right. I think that's crucial, having people say, you're not crazy, I promise.
Yeah, you're not. No, you can absolutely do this. So yeah, I can really resonate with it.
Yeah. What has been a profound, as far as breakthrough and helping people through mental blocks and really reaching into their creativity, what has helped people, and it may be different things for different people, but what have you found to be kind of successful in helping people kind of work through those mental blocks?
So I think people will laugh when they hear me say this. So I think I'm inherently a very much an action-oriented type of person. And, you know, when it comes to running a business, you know, I love a good spreadsheet, and I love, you know, to make sure that I'm moving to action regularly and all of those things. And actually, the biggest breakthrough for me was realizing that I had to come at everything from a place of love and of gentleness and of putting myself wholeheartedly first. So what I see a lot with people is that they absolutely get what you need for a business. You know, you need a product or a service, you need a plan, you need goals, you need a vision. But it's not until they allow themselves and me to work with them on the inner stuff that we start getting somewhere.
Right.
So you can run a business, you can be successful, you can be bringing the money, you can do all of those things. But unless you start to realize that actually this all comes from within you as a person, and that the number one priority, and it's not selfish, is to look after yourself first and have an amazing routine and, you know, exercise in whatever way works for you, and, you know, look at what you're eating and who you're spending time with and what energies you're surrounding yourself with. That's when I started to get the breakthroughs with people. That's when I had the breakthroughs myself, which is why I think I'm a bit unconventional in my coaching, in that I've run businesses for the last 15 years, which is how I've got to where I am, and it's how I can help people run their businesses. But really, that only works if you start to embrace who you are and the challenges and the fears of who you are and who you need to be. So it's some fairly deep inner work that needs to come up generally for people.
And stuff that, you know, they didn't think that was necessary to kind of run a business, but or start something creative. But I think it's such a spiritual journey to, you know, of self-discovery to start something, and we forget that. Yeah,
we do, and we have to be willing to allow that. Because again, for a lot of people, they there's a fear element that comes up for people when you ask them to, like you were saying earlier, peel away the layers of who they are.
Yeah, it's a hard thing to do, especially with someone they may not know necessarily, or you know, have built this trust relationship quite yet. And you know, being like, oh, I didn't know we were going to talk about this.
You
know.
Yeah, and there's a huge element, especially as a coach. Um, people say to me, "What like what's been helpful in your success?" Like, I would not be where I am today without my coaches,
Hmm.
because that relationship um, is so vital. It's a relationship of non-judgment. It's a relationship of support. You have to trust that person,
Hmm.
and you end up talking with that person about stuff you never thought you'd talk about.
Yeah.
And that you're so right. When you're first starting out, that's why when people say to me, "Oh, I want to work with a coach," I'm like, you have to connect with that person personally. Like, you really need to feel that that person is holding you in a very like safe space, and yeah, they're gonna kick your ass when it comes to your business goals, but they're also gonna be there for you through tears, triumphs, laughter, joy, despair. So it's quite a personal relationship that you foster with that person.
Yeah, I think that's definitely very cool. And, personal cheerleader, we all need that.
Yeah.
Someone to believe in us, especially someone on the outside, you know, um, especially if maybe your family doesn't quite believe in your endeavors, or, because I know that's pretty common.
I'm only laughing because I can really resonate there. I think my parents thought I'd lost my mind when I told them that I was gonna start a creative business. They were just like, "Yeah, that's great. So we're so glad we put you through amazing education, and now you're just gonna go become a hippie." And I was like, well, you know what? It's not quite like that, but if you want to choose to interpret it like that. So yeah, I think we're in a new era as well. I think we're in an era where it's not just about going to work every day, coming home, doing the dishes,
Hmm.
getting up,
Yeah.
doing it again. For a lot of people, that's their reality, and there's nothing wrong with that. But
Right.
I feel like there's a lot of us out there now that perhaps want something different.
Right. Yeah. I think, yeah, there's definitely a huge shift for sure, just because of technology, and just realizing, like, hey, wait, we don't have to do what our parents did or our grandparents. Like, that was their generation and that
Yeah,
worked for them, but we live
yeah,
in such a different world. Um, so, yeah, learning to create our own schedule is not,
yeah.
I think it's hard for me, especially, like, it's not a selfish thing.
No.
It's a just a change in a shift in society. And yeah, because I think that was one of the hardest things for me, was like, oh, what I'm doing, um living out my purpose
Yeah,
is selfish.
yeah, yeah.
I should just go to work like all the rest of the people and just be fine with that,
Mm.
and not pursue anything further. And I think there's definitely like this feeling of selfishness behind it, but recognizing that it's not selfish.
No.
No.
Especially with, as you were talking earlier, like what you're wanting to do with your creativity, and organizing retreats for people, and having people come and just be themselves and not be judged. And so if you think through the selfishness, if you still want to use that word, and I get exactly that with you, and I can really relate to that. um, when your purpose is to benefit other people and to help them discover who they are, and take them on that same journey, and show them support and love and encouragement, then everyone can categorize that as selfishness. That's fine. I think it's a very special sort of selfishness myself.
Yeah, I definitely agree. Even when it's even doing for your own benefit, I think um, doing things for yourself and kind of learning new things and being creative in that way. So what if it's selfish? It's you
Mm,
know if it's going to help you work through something or a problem, or something that's going on in your life, take time. I think
yeah,
is crucial,
yeah,
to take that time to
absolutely,
discover that.
absolutely.
Yeah. What kind of things do you do to kind of restore your mind and kind of get creative and let yourself think of new ideas?
That's a really good question. So I have a couple of things that really, I know that if I don't do, I really struggle. So I have and this might sound strange because it should never be forced, but I have definitely had to encourage myself in a positive way to meditate on a regular basis. And I have a bit of a morning routine that I do now. And for me, that's about just finding some space. And it took years and years of not quite finding the right thing for me. There's an amazing guy who I would definitely recommend for people to look up. His name's David G. So David and then J-I. And every weekend he sends like a weekend or a weekly meditation into your inbox. And they're just brilliant. You know, they always, every weekend I look forward to them arriving, and they're exactly what I need to hear. The universe has an amazing way of sending you exactly what you need.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the first thing. So I work with that all week. So whatever ends up in my inbox on a Sunday from him, I use that all week. The other thing for me that is really vital, and I've become, I suppose, more interested in this recently, is just moving. So I've never been someone that's particularly athletic or particularly sporty, but specifically outside. But if it's not a good day, then I'll exercise in the house. And finding my way of moving my body, it sort of clears everything, and then I get a much easier kind of vision as to stuff that I'm trying to create. And anywhere near water for me, like it's terrible. I'm forever in the shower, like trying to grab a notepad, going, no, I just need to wash my hair and like get all this now. Or like if I'm swimming, or if I'm by the beach, I spend a lot of time. We're really lucky; we live really close to the beach, and I spend a lot of time walking and sitting. And those are the things that really are really important to me. I think the one challenge I'm having, and I really like my mission for this year for me personally, I'm a photographer and I love taking photos. So all of the photos, well, most of the photos that you see on my website and in my work are mine. Other than ones of me, I've had to ask a lovely company to help me with that because it was all getting a bit stressful trying to take self-portrait. But I really need to explore painting again. I haven't painted for years, and drawing, it's really a huge part of who I am, but for some reason I'm really denying that in myself at the moment. And I guess I would say, you know, obviously working full time and running a business, getting a pen in my hand and just drawing for an hour or so perhaps feels a bit indulgent, maybe selfish. But I am really recognizing recently that actually I really need that in the same way that actually it's never a waste to just sit and meditate or have a morning of self-care. I feel like very strongly the next thing to do is to start painting again, and really embracing that side of my creativity, which I have definitely been pushing away very, very strongly. I've just been like, there isn't the time, but actually there's definitely the time.
Right. And yeah, and I think it's that fear of like being like, oh, if I start that again, it has to be really good. And,
yeah, it does. Yeah. There's a definite perfectionist streak in me that's like, I think I've got one painting up on the wall that I've allowed myself, like, and still I look at it and I'm like, oh no, it should have just, if only I'd done that there, or like it's a bit of a mark there. So I think this is exactly why it's being brought to me to really start working, because it's not about the perfectionism. And so many creative individuals are held back by a fear of not being perfect in what they're creating. That is a huge theme that comes up for my clients, my friends, those of us that are creative. And I think trying to find ways of getting beyond that and just starting, the major mission is to just start. And once you get to that point, often, and you keep taking that purposeful action, that's when you get the breakthroughs. But if you try and create something perfect first time around, first of all, it probably won't ever happen. And secondly, you just won't get started. And then you've wasted your talents.
Right. Yeah. That fear of the perfectionism. Yeah. I think it's a lot of people to start something and then continue to make those decisions to keep going. I think, and letting it just be for yourself and not for, you don't have to share it with anyone. I talked with someone else about this and she's like, yeah, she, she's a coach as well. And she was like, yeah, telling her clients, like, you don't have to share this with anyone. And,
No.
like people that, put all their work out there, and whether it's good or bad. And she's like, you don't have to do that. Like, this can just be for yourself. And I think there's something profound in that, where we don't realize, like, oh yeah, I don't have to share this with
No.
anyone.
No.
This is mine. And
Yeah. Yeah.
for my own, healing, or
Yeah.
whatever it may be.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. I think we're so used to grabbing the phone and taking a picture and putting it on Instagram,
mhm,
and or sharing it on Facebook. And there's nothing wrong with that. But it just means that everything you do, you're thinking, is that the best version? And
mhm,
if you pop stuff up online, I'm the same. I use a photo editing app for some of it. And actually, when was the last time I've actually started doing this, like coming from the gym and then taking a photo, no makeup, like hair all over the place, still like a hot mess, and just taking that photo and sharing that. And the hilarious thing is, I get far more interaction on those photos than I do on the ones where I've made an effort and I've actually like put some mascara on and sorted out my fringe. Like, it just seems to me that people appreciate the raw quality of someone genuinely sharing.
mhm,
And don't get me wrong, I love a beautiful Instagram feeds that's like stunning and it's curated and it's just all the photos match, and I am not that person yet, and maybe will never be. But I just think it's there is a truth in sharing in a genuine way. And
mhm,
I can 100% agree, if I can just think about drawing and painting without thinking about sharing that, I think that would probably get me to start a lot quicker.
mhm. Yeah, yeah, you're right. Like with every photo we take, we're like, okay, is this shareable? Do I need to take it again?
The angle's not right. The angle's not right. Especially
Right.
food. It drives my other half mad. He's like, for God's sake, just eat your dinner. We don't need to replate it because it doesn't look right. But it's my way of sharing. Do you know what? You've cooked me something amazing and it's beautiful, and I want to share that, and I want other people to enjoy. But it does get a bit ridiculous when your food's getting cold because you're too busy trying to snap the perfect angle of whatever it is you're eating. Um,
Yeah. It reminds me, I don't, have you seen that video where they're taking a picture of the coffee cup, and it
no.
turns, I don't know what it's called, but someone created, and it's just like a coffee cup at a coffee shop, and it turns into this whole ordeal. And like um it's a funny video, because then they bring in
Yeah,
like the
I've
camera
heard of
crew
that.
and
Yeah,
extras.
yeah,
And
yeah. I have a really good friend at work actually, and he always says to me, "Oh, another pretentious photo of your coffee. Amazing." He's like, "Do you not just drink your coffee? Like, it's just beautifully framed and there's like a heart on top." And actually he makes me laugh because I'm like, actually it's a really good point. And then he went and took one of a pretentious coffee one because he was like, I was out, I saw a coffee, it reminded me of you, and I was like, oh, this is not good. My coffee photo. So no, I'll have to look up that video. That sounds
yeah,
hilarious.
you should definitely look it up. It's pretty funny. um let's see. I have one more question, and I think it is a profound one, and I've loved the answers that I've gotten. So what would you tell someone who maybe hasn't started something, has let some things sit in them for a long time, just kind of a little bit terrified to start, or maybe they've been wounded in the past, and what would you tell someone to just kind of get them to say, hey, yeah, I'm worth it and I can do it?
Such a good question, and so many ways I could possibly answer. Um, I think the thing for me when someone asked me this, it was a big changing point for me, and they said, "What would happen if you didn't do this?"
Hmm.
So, I very much took that question, and it's a really good exercise to do, and think about, okay, so how will life be if I never do this one thing? And I worked backwards, where would I still be living? What would I be doing? What would my life look like? Who would I be with? How would I feel? That's a really huge one. And then just allow yourself to do the opposites. And, this does take a bit of time. Okay, so it's something that's terrifying you. It could go horribly wrong. It's making you face all of your fears. But how would it feel if you finally made that thing happen. So you are not doing anything as such, you're not like forcing yourself into anything. You're simply just exploring, okay, we'll say it's that you want to start a new business. Well, okay, take the gloves off. What does that business look like? What are you creating? Where are you? Who are you with? What benefits is it having? How do you feel to bring this to life? And just explore if you never did, and then if you did. And then what I would say is just take one tiny piece of that dream. So for me, I remember I just had this thing that I wanted to coach, and I didn't even know what that meant, but I just knew I wanted to help people. And I booked a session with a coach, and this was like, it was a hilarity because it was, it was an expensive thing to do. But I just had that one time with that coach, and I just took that time and went and spent some, an hour with her and just explored what that looked like. Yeah.
That's
so
great.
That's what I would share with you guys. And it just helps you face that fear a little bit.
Yeah. And makes it kind of less overwhelming and less like you have to make a decision now.
Yeah.
Yeah. Kind of breaks it down. I really like that. Because then it kind of gets to be like, oh, well, I don't want my life to be like that, or, my life could be this.
Yeah.
And,
yeah. And then I would always say, like, those things that are holding you back, like, it's about these connections that you make with people. There will be someone in your world, or someone that you meet, or someone that you see that you feel, actually, I wonder if that person could help me and just help me get a bit of, clarity on what I need. And, there's a lot of people that you can spend time with, and it doesn't cost anything, and they can just help you see things a bit clearer. So, yeah.
Right. I love that. So thank you for sharing.
You're welcome.
And if there's anything else on your heart that you'd like to add, I'd love you to share, but if you don't feel like I said what I said, and that's fine too. But
it's for you, actually. I was just going to say, like, we talked briefly beforehand about your Golden Pine Creative, and I would just say that all those things that are holding you back, and all those things that people are saying that are giving you doubt, just hear them, but don't listen to them. Just you have a very special thing that you're wanting to bring to the world. You have a very special business idea. I know it will be a business, but it's about so much more than that for you. And I just think, imagine the peace and the serenity and the power and the strength that you can bring those people that get to come and spend time with you. You have an amazing energy, and I wish you all the best.
Oh, thank you.
Creative. You are meant to do this work. So
thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Yeah, that means a lot. Thank you.
And you've made a new friend from over this side of the world.
Yes, I have. I'm so excited. One day I'm going to have to make a trip around the world and visit all my new friends.
Yeah, you will.
Yeah. And Els has a free gift to share with us. She's going to talk a little bit about what that is. The link will be below us, and please check her out. As you can see from our interview, that she's an amazing person with a great heart, and I hope that some of you take the chance to get to know her better. So take it away.
Well, so just in the interest of I guess the biggest gift I can give people, I always say that the biggest gift you can give someone is your time. We're such a time poor community sometimes, and I really feel like the power comes when you connect with people on a one-to-one basis. So for any of you that would like, you are welcome to have a 30-minute clarity session with me. It's completely free. I'm not going to try sign you up to any kind of coaching program. I'm not going to try and sell you stuff. I love connecting with women all over the world. And the power of the clarity session is that you can take an issue that's just been stopping you or holding you back, which for creative individuals, sometimes you don't need much. You just need that one session with somebody to talk about those biggest fears or that biggest dream, and just have that person give you some clarity and work through some of those things and see where you get to on the other side. So there'll be my email address below, and a little I'm going to do a little description of the clarity session, and then you literally just drop me an email, and we'll set up a time that we connect, very similar to this, just on a Zoom or a Skype call. And whoever would love to take one of those sessions, I'm more than happy to do that for your audience. It would be a pleasure to connect with people. So yeah.
Yeah, and that's a great opportunity. So I wouldn't pass it up, honestly. Sometimes sometimes these calls, and 30 minutes is a long time to really kind of figure out, like, hey, I don't want to do this and I want to do that. Those clarity calls with someone that's outside of your circle are so helpful. I know they've helped me.
And me.
Through my own coaching that I do, my sessions are only 15 minutes. And when I get off those calls, it's like, oh my gosh, my world's changed. You have a new perspective and you're like, oh my gosh, I know what I want. So really powerful. So I encourage all of you to shoot her an email if you're feeling like, okay, I need to do this. I really encourage you to do that.
Lovely. Yeah. So nice to meet you.
It was so nice to meet you too. And thank you so much for taking the time out of your day to be interviewed. I've loved our time together. So
yeah. You take care of yourself.
Okay, you too. And congrats on your wedding, and
thank you.
You take care of yourself with all the things you're doing.
I will. You take care too. Keep me in touch.
I definitely will. Bye, Els.
Bye.